Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Cinema Surprise. This week is Joseph's penultimate choice of season one, and quite the choice it was in The Passion of Joan of Arc. It was released originally on October 25th, 1928. It was co-written by Joseph Delteil and directed by the co-writer as well, Carl Theodore Dreyer. I'm Colton Robertson. I'm joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And this is a fun one. This is a fun one because it is the oldest movie we've ever covered, and it is the only silent film we've ever covered.
Hmm.
Um, so give me a little insight. What drew you
Yeah.
to The Passion of Joan of Arc?
Well, I guess a silent movie I've never even thought of watching really until Babylon. It was actually this project that I guess I kind of got here. I maybe the thought has occurred to me before of like wanting to watch a silent film, but I guess to think of it and actually appreciate it for kind of what it is. Babylon is really what started this fire. And so it was just one of those movies in the ending sequence as well of Babylon, and just kind of wanting to check away at that slowly. It seems that those movies are pretty good. I started off with the OG Tron and had a whole revelation there. So yeah, kind of my first silent movie as well. Just kind of wanted to do it.
Mm.
Kind of weird, um, maybe we envisioned having a whole silent film project in the day to like kind of start with silent films or something. It is kind of just boom, here we go. We're here. So
We
I
did have an idea like that at one point. I don't know if you recall when we were thinking about doing the sequel to the 52-year journey through film,
mm,
and we were thinking about going all the way back
okay.
to
It
to
would
that.
have
So
started
we
silent.
have we have and we
Mm-hmm.
threw in some there. We have thrown in some there, but we're never going to execute on that project anytime soon anyway. Maybe eventually, but we don't have any plans to do it. But yeah, we're finally, rectifying
Mm-hmm.
that. It's what could have been. We executed a little bit here. I love The Passion of Joan of Arc. I watched this for the first time last year. I can't remember what spurred it on. I just threw it on one day. I have the Criterion channel,
Mm.
so it's a
Yeah.
really nice streaming service that opens me up a little bit to like being like, oh, I'd never considered watching this before. Let's go ahead and check this out. And I threw it on over there, and that's kind of how it happened. And I adored it, man. I mean, it's beautiful photography, insane performance by Maria Falconetti, just an
Mm.
absolutely brilliant performance
Yeah.
by Falconetti as Joan there. And the supporting roles there, the
Mm.
the silent film acting is a lot different than the acting
Yeah.
like it's a whole different game, and the expressionism and the over the topness, and this one's actually relatively toned down compared to a lot of silent films. It
Mm.
is pretty They basically made a talkie without with in the form of a silent film. And even so, like, one of the interesting things is kind of unheard of for silent films was that nobody in this movie wears makeup. There's no
Yeah.
makeup in this movie.
Oh, that's not
Like,
normal.
it's not normal for any movie production. Movie productions
Mm.
usually
Oh, they're
you
all
wear
dolled
makeup,
up and like very.
like
Oh, okay.
there is
Yeah.
not a single person in this movie wearing makeup. There's
Hmm.
a lot of stuff that not strictly groundbreaking, but just kind of interesting about the production of this movie. And the fact that we got such a great movie is kind of a miracle. I'm going to drop one of the craziest bombs of trivia for a movie of all time, especially the era and how difficult these sorts of things were. Um, the original cut of this film was completely destroyed, and with no, like, it's because it was a reel of film.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Wait,
wasn't duplicated.
what did I
Um,
watch? Did I?
you watched cuts that were not going to be in the original film.
No, no,
Yeah,
no. So there wasn't like
that's
a time where it was preserved and then destroyed. It was destroyed before everyone saw it.
before
Like,
anybody saw it. Yeah. It was destroyed before anybody saw it.
These are the outtakes.
These are the deleted scenes that they cut together to be, yeah, outtakes more accurately. Um, and it's still as good as it is, which is absolutely nutty. It's kind of a crazy what could have been to imagine what the original vision of the movie was. Um,
Was it a talkie?
no, no, it was not. It
I was
was
gonna
never
say, like,
conceptualized as a
was it? And then they
talkie.
were like,
Uh,
fuck. Well,
no,
shit.
never was.
Okay.
No, but in fact, another interesting piece of trivia:
Whoa.
Greta Garbo, a massive actress at the time, transitioning from the silent era to the talkie era, her first role that American studio heads wanted her to play was Joan of Arc, and they wanted to do a talkie adaptation of this, and they wanted Carl Theodore Dreyer to direct it. Like, just go ahead and run it back, buddy. You did a really good job on the
Hmm.
Passion of Joan there. Let's go ahead and do a talkie in America.
Wow.
And he refused because he did not want to do an American studio production. That's something he didn't want to do.
Hmm.
So yeah, just like there's a really fascinating and rich history with this movie. It was considered lost media for a very long time until it was
Wow.
found. And like it's really rich history. And then you're afforded that at a 96-year-old film, you know?
Wow. That's nuts. Man, because I kind of had the thought while watching the whole time of like that this is a silent film set, kind of like on Babylon, and it could
mm,
be like as crazy as it can. I don't know. It could be chaotic. Like there were flies a lot of the time
yeah,
that
yeah,
flew into
yeah.
shots and
Don't
stuff
plan
like
on
that.
that. Yeah.
And I wonder if maybe that's just they were the outtakes, and that but they I don't know. It seemed more. It felt
More real.
yeah. Like I wonder if it worked for the movie. I wonder if it
Like if it
kind
works
of
better.
it made it feel more real. Like it made
Yeah.
it just it wasn't perfect. It wasn't the perfect cut. It was raw, no makeup. Like
Hmm.
that wasn't I guess normal. So it's like it's less raw there or it's more raw
Yeah.
there. It's
Right.
just wow. Huh.
Yeah, no, so like those shots where a fly does fly on Maria Falconetti's face and she acts through it. You know, like she doesn't stop, like she'll swat at it, but she doesn't stop being in character or anything. Like I have to imagine that those were takes where they were like, well, ideally a fly doesn't fly on her face in this shot. You
Wow.
know, like that's
Wow.
and
There was
so
one that
that's
landed right on the dude's mole. I mean,
yeah,
perfectly. And I thought that was just hilarious. And I'm like, they have to keep that one in. But
right.
now it was probably no. It probably
None,
was an
none of
outtake.
none
Like,
of it was the original takes because they
oh,
weren't
it's actually no. Like,
it's there
yeah,
there
like
is literally no original,
because
like
it
no
was
original. It
one
was
film
destroyed.
reel.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And there was no
Wow.
ability to reshoot because
Yeah.
the production for this film was an absolute nightmare. It took this isn't I mean, it's an hour and 20-minute film. It took a year and a half to
Yo,
make.
what? What? What were they doing? They were
I have
in
no
like
fucking clue.
3 rooms and then they went outside. What were
And the budget was like unreal for the time for the production design, which is hysterical because this movie is spent like 95% in close-up
Oh
mode.
no.
Um,
I wonder if the OG cut is like
has
so
more,
much grander. And like because
yeah.
that would make sense because that's what they wanted to shoot and wanted to have in the original movie and they only had one shot of it and no outtakes of the other I mean,
Hmm.
well, they probably have outtakes of the cool shit, you know? I mean, like
Ideally,
you
ideally. No,
pro
and that's the other thing too, is that like all it does is create an atmosphere. You know, it doesn't like because the production design is on display here. Every room they're in is very elegantly designed. It's
Mhm.
built. It's not a place that exists. They
Hmm.
designed this place. Um, and the streets of France outside
Oh.
where she
Mhm.
gets burned at the stake, they built that. It's
Wow.
not like it's and that's why there's a lot of great shots of just like a plain white background because they were just like there's no buildings behind here because we didn't build them.
Mhm.
Um, and
Wow.
that's what's kind of cool about this era of filmmaking is that it's also raw and also it's also makeshift. It might have a great budget and it might be really, really expensive, but we exist in a time when you had to build these things with your
Mm-hmm.
hands. It was quite literally makeshift. It wasn't like,
Yeah. There's
well,
no
we
we'll
can
fix it in
digitize that.
post.
Yeah,
Yeah, there,
exactly. Like we
there's
will. In fact, if they could have fixed it in post, we would have gotten the original fucking cut of this movie. Like, and that's what's insane. Um,
wow. It's the sec we got the leftovers. We got
mhm.
the crumbs. And it still was this. Man, I mean,
It's fantastic too. It's a brilliant film.
it's I wonder if it strengthened the movie, if the outtakes and it just played better for the story somehow. Because it did feel, I don't know. I guess I this is my first silent film. This is my first first film of this age as
Mm,
well. I don't know what the norm is, but it felt not normal. I don't like it didn't feel like the norm. This felt very
mm. No, and I mean, like, compared to the other silent films I have watched, it's not, but that's because the other silent films I've watched have been comedies, which, you wouldn't go like, oh, Anchorman is nothing like The Notebook or whatever the
mm,
fuck, like, so it is it's
I
just a
see.
just a
Yeah.
different era, but
Like
yeah, I
Anatomy of a
couldn't.
Fall, like I'm
Hmm,
just thinking of another like courtroom movie that
yeah.
actually where I'm like in a courtroom and I'm like I want to know, like keep it going, I am very interested in what's going on. This is not boring. And usually I don't know, a lot of law movies or courtroom movies are it's whatever. Like they usually don't spend the whole movie in the courtroom. It's
Hmm.
usually all right, we're going to recess, and this is where all the character development happens. But
Right.
most of it is, well, I guess they do like often the other room or the torture chamber and stuff like that. But I feel like most of like it just feels so good every time she like kind of has a dunk or like a response that they're not expecting. Like they
Mm.
think they have the confession or the angle, and they think they're about to win, but then she's just like
Nah.
nope. Yeah, like let me drop a bar on you real quick, and all that. Like I love their reactions too. Sometimes they're just like, "Holy fuck, what?" Like, wait, huh? And then sometimes it brings them to tears. Actually, like I felt like there was one delivery that just a dude started crying. He was like,
Hmm.
"Oh my god!" Like this like I don't know. I felt like some of them they knew that they I don't know, like they knew that they were wrong, but just
Oh yeah,
kept
yeah, yeah.
kept going.
No, for
Um,
sure. There's a whole side of this movie that's spent trying to manipulate Joan into a confession, pretty much
mm-hmm.
the entire movie.
Yeah.
And the prospect, I appreciate what this movie puts forth about, steadfastness and faith. You can, and the problems when faith and government overlap, and how that never works. Joan of Arc is a patron saint of France now. It and was
Wow.
recognized as a patron saint of France in the early 1920s. So
Wow.
like
Damn. I mean that's kind of I guess that's how it happens, Like
mm,
that's it just takes a person to do something so unhuman like to or have just such a story that is so grand. And I guess she is, I don't know the full history still.
mm.
I'm trying, like what was she accused of? Like what is the like it was it just hiding her like not, hiding her identity and being a soldier
No. So
or
what's kind of fucked up in the like she's basically on trial for being a woman.
mhm.
Ultimately is kind of how I perceive it. Um she claims to be divine, like not divine, but she is a chosen one.
Mhm.
She has a purpose that was bestowed unto her by God, and she was vocal about that. And amidst the Hundred Years' War, she was sent to the army, um, reinvigorated their forces. They pushed back, won a battle. They pushed forward at her command, essentially, when she was like 17, won another battle. And then keep, they kept winning until a certain point. And when she started to lose, people lost faith. And that's when she got put on trial. Um,
Damn. I had no idea. I had no
mm.
clue. I
Well, and
thought
there's also the fact that the people accusing her here, also don't observe King Charles as their king.
Yeah. That was I was
And
also
that's the politics of the time. I'm not entirely informed on. I don't know. So I don't know if she's literally being persecuted by the church. I don't think it's governing. I think it is just like the
hmm,
church is persecuting her for her essentially claiming
claiming that
divinity.
she's
Yeah.
divine. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Um,
Um is that what heresy? I saw heresy somewhere and maybe in
mhm.
the description.
Yeah.
Is that just what heresy
She's
is?
she's
Just kind of going against the church.
apostate. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
she doesn't fall in line essentially. She does,
I guess
and then
that's what they
a
want her
huge
to
part of the
admit.
movie is like, why the fuck are you wearing that?
Yeah. Um I guess that was what maybe part of the history that I didn't know of like why she's so steadfast in wearing men's clothes. Um is it just like her refusal to accept the norm? Is that just kind of
That's kind of
where
how
it
I take it
bases
within the
from
context of the
or
movie. I do not know in real life what constituted that choice. And it seems like, like one of my favorite lines of the movie. I don't know, you might have taken it down as your favorite line. Last I saw. Um,
yes, yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah. It was just it was hard to pick a line, I guess here. It's different. But
hmm
this one felt like the most like foreshadowy and most kind of like I don't know. It felt nice. But she said, "When the mission God gave me is finished, I will wear women's clothes again." And I guess I had no idea that she would be burned at the stake. At the end, I knew. I guess at the beginning of the movie, it says that she
she
dies.
was,
She was sentenced and died.
yeah,
So like I knew she was gonna die. I didn't know how, but I guess I thought she was gonna be in a funeral, and just a casket and put in traditional
right.
women's clothes. After she was dead. And so that's why I took it down immediately. Is I'm like, oh damn, like that's just she's recognizing her death like that, just that early. Like she knows it's coming and she knows I don't know. She has whether she is truly divine or not, it worked. I don't know. Like what her plan and everything she set out to do, like that um I guess
Her martyrdom.
yeah, she said that I
Yeah.
know that all the Englishmen will be gone out of France soon or
Are you
something
saying that God
something
hates
like
the
that. It's like
English? No, I
I don't
don't
know.
know.
He's like actually
Yeah.
I don't know. All I do know is what was that? Like yeah, I don't know anything of his hatred or dishatred for the English, but what I do know is
I don't know. I don't
something.
know.
I don't know. It was good. She had all of her answers were very good,
Oh
and
yeah.
I love how she took like time. Like I love how sometimes she would like her eye like roll her eyes kind of in the back of her head almost, and kind of
hmm
like well up in like all the emotion and kind of like just take in all the yelling sometimes that's happening at her, and then she just like spits out the line like it's
Locks
one
in.
line and then it's like and then everyone like the
I was
tears are
like,
walloping up and it's yeah
yeah.
everyone like they know too they know it's like
They're
she's
like,
about to do it
fuck.
again she's about to do it
Damn,
again
she's cold. Like
yeah like
man, she's good at this shit. Yeah, no,
talk about a
I want
20v1
yeah, for
this is
real.
the
And a
the
20v
OG
one, it's a 1v20 if I gotta smack. Is that right with you? Yeah, like that's what she's on. But yeah, I love the way she wins people over. And obviously there was
mm,
already a lot of people on her side. That's clear from the beginning, is that some people think that this trial is heresy itself. Like that
mm,
in and of itself is a betrayal of God, because they believe in Joan. They believe that she is God's chosen one. Why would we go against her? That in and of itself is heresy. So some already believe that, but there
mm,
are those who you can tell she slowly wins to her side. And one of the ones is like kind of he almost seemed like an errand boy. He just kind of like he like tended to her needs and stuff. And
yeah
whenever like,
mm,
and he was like, you'll die, and what for? And what's the great victory? And she goes, my martyrdom. And he goes, and your freedom, death. And I was like, that's
boom
a fucking bar.
that's probably
Like,
is that your line
no,
man that might
my
actually be
but
the
that no,
line
that's
damn
hard as fuck though. That was one that I initially thought about, but I ended up going with one that I felt kind of encapsulated the philosophy of this movie, which was how do you know a good angel from a bad angel? When
Mm,
they are it's one of the questions they ask her because she says she saw one of the saints. I can't remember which one.
mm-hmm.
And they're like, no, you saw the devil, like that he disguised himself as this, and that's what you saw, and it's like, well, how the fuck could you possibly know that? But
Dang.
um,
It's kind
yeah,
of
so like
representing her case then.
her, yes, how
Yeah.
how can you tell a good angel from a bad angel? And that's the good and evil, the side that's right, the side that's wrong, and just
Mm.
kind of like all throughout the because like and again, it all resigns in faith, what what makes Joan the hero of this movie is that she is the underdog, that she is steadfast in her faith and dies for God, you know? Um, at least in her eyes, she dies for God.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's almost certainly a side of this movie that could be perceived like if you find someone who's staunchly religious and is like you know that might align themselves with the idea that she is committing an act of heresy, like she what makes her more important than anybody else, et cetera, et cetera, so
Mm.
like that's what's interesting is that when it comes to the literal intricacies of faith, there is there is sides to be taken, and I think that's interesting. But I love that the movie is obviously staunchly and 100% behind Joan. Um,
Did she claim her divinity like while she was like before like on these victories and having all these victories, or was it like at a certain point then she was like, now
that's
I'm
why she was sent to the front lines,
oh.
was because she proclaimed divinity. It wasn't
So it was just
because
until they started when she started losing or this,
they were
then
like,
they're like,
maybe she was fucking lying, like
okay.
and
Wow.
that's kind of how it went.
Yeah,
But
it's kind of tough to put anything really on her then because like she shouldn't even really be on trial in the first place.
mm-mm.
Like they that's the
But
reason
that's the
that they
other
sent
thing
her
is
out
that
there in the
King
first
Charles
place.
sent her
Like,
out there.
ah,
It was King Charles
okay.
who decided. That's why, like, whenever the dude who's trying to manipulate her the whole movie's like, bring me a letter with King Charles's
That's
signature.
true.
Like,
Mhm.
it's what motivates her to get a little bit more open and open up a little bit. It's because they
Hmm.
know she listens to King Charles more than she listens to the church. And I think that's another angle here is that
I
she
guess aren't kings divine though? Like that's like or seen as they have, the divine bloodline, I don't know, or something like the divine right
I
to rule or something like that. They're not divine in their own creature like themselves, but they have,
I think that's kind of been the
you know.
general idea of monarchy. I couldn't tell you specifically about the monarchy of France at this time, though, because if that was the case, the church probably would have fucked with King Charles. Um,
Yeah.
like that's
Hmm.
but the other thing is that the church is also English occupied, for the most part. A lot of the soldiers we see are English. That's why that they're trying to free France, essentially. It's so not only is it a battle between church and state,
Hmm.
it's country versus country, and she's representing France while the church is kind of representing England. And King Charles might align himself with whatever specific sect of religion Joan, because we got to remember that in the 1400s, it wasn't so, hey, we're all Christian. It was like, well, Catholics and Protestants fucking hate each other. Like and there were all
Yeah.
sorts of like there were all sorts of intricacies that meant like, oh, well, you believe in God, but you believe in God the wrong fucking way. Like
Yeah, and it wasn't just a heated battle on Facebook. It was like, well, we'll start a war
we'll
and
go
we'll
to war
kill
for this
your
shit
entire
then.
village, and stuff. Yeah,
Hmm.
so
Yeah,
yeah.
so like there is a lot more intricacies here, and all that to say that there is more history behind this movie that you can
Mm.
glean a lot more from the movie if you are more well learned in it. I feel like because not to mention that silent films are also relatively difficult to follow. Like it's a lot of comprehension, a lot of reading comprehension,
Mm-hmm.
like you're not literally listening to someone say these things. You are basically reading um with reading a picture book essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Yeah, just
and
given the emotion, from the
mhm.
just they give you the emotion which is okay. That's what these words mean. That's what's behind the
And I
words.
love the editing in silent films too. Like they start speaking, they cut to what they're saying, and they cut back and they're finishing speaking. I
Yeah.
always like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the editing at several sequences in this movie is fucking incredible. Like the editing and the score and the performance from Falconetti in one scene is what gave it my favorite scene, and it's when they're trying to coerce her confession with the torture wheel,
Mm.
and the music's flaring, and she's getting scared, and the wheel's turning faster and faster, and they keep cutting back between all three of these things, and it's like, oh, dude, it was fucking riveting. Um,
Yeah, yeah, they tortured her. I love how they're just like, well, we're not gonna show it, but it's heavily implied. It's like, or is it just like she just passed out
I
from
think she passed out from the
just
fear.
simply
Yeah,
from that? You think that's all it was, or like, because I
she's
didn't
also
know,
sick.
I didn't know.
They also make a point to say she's quite sickly. She's not doing well.
That's what, yeah. I was wondering if it was like like that's why I didn't know if like she was tortured in real life and this was just a way of the
mm,
movie acknowledging it and then moving on like in simplicity.
Probably.
Um
I hate to like assume like that, but yeah, probably.
and that's why I think they bring it up. That's why I think they show the torture chamber and all this stuff. I don't think it's just to scare her. It's like they use this, that this
Right.
is there
This
is
was
a
a real
torture
method
chamber in a courthouse
in
or
a
a
church.
church. So yeah, that what why is it even there in the first place? So I think I just assumed that she was tortured in real life, and then
Hmm.
I didn't know if like because was she sick before? Because it seemed that it was after the torture that they were like, well, she's really not doing well. She has to be bled. Like, we have to
Hmm.
get rid of this fever. And what a way to do that, Like,
Yeah, that's how they used to do that.
whoa. I mean, and it didn't really hit me. At first I'm like, what are they doing? I'm like, are they giving her an IV? I'm like, is that really okay? I'm like, what are they doing? And then I'm like, just get rid of the bad shit and then they will just make new good blood. I'm like, okay, that's
Yeah. I was unfamiliar with this practice too until I watched Shogun. They do the same thing in Shogun.
wow.
But um
Is that does
yeah.
that really work? But like, is it
Oh, does that really
ideal?
work? I
Like, is
thought you were
it?
gonna ask me if they really did it.
No, I feel like it probably really was done. I'm assuming. It feels real, but like, is it ideal? Like, it makes sense? Like, if you have bad
Hmm.
blood in you, get it
Get the bad
out.
blood out. Yeah.
But like, how do you know it's all just right in your arm? Like, is that
Yeah,
it?
I
It
couldn't tell you.
feels like I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's that simple, but
But
like,
yeah, no, that's part of the trivia too, is that they did this to somebody. This was like something they had to do on set that was done to a person. They they stuck a knife in their arm
I
and
mean,
left
it
like
looked
you're
pretty.
watching someone bleed during that.
I
That's
mean, I was gonna it. I don't know how they go around.
they show you the person's
Wow.
arm and they
Yeah,
show
because
you
it looked a little bruised before. Like it was like this is the outtake. Oh my god, this is not the first time that they did it.
yeah, probably not the same not to the same
I don't
person, I
know. It was
imagine.
bruised. That
It was
specific vein they
bruised, but it
went
was like a
into,
knife.
dude. Yeah,
You
that
know,
thing
like
was not a needle.
that's
That I
yeah,
mean,
that's why I'm like it wouldn't like they'd had to have I mean like it did take a year and a half to film, you know? Maybe they were like, "We'll get back to that whenever you get healed up."
oh
Get
my
ready to get bled
god.
again in 3 months.
Oh
But
my
it wasn't
god.
Joan. They did do it to somebody else's arm. It wasn't Maria Falconetti. It was
Oh,
some
okay. Still
stunt double,
though.
if you
Oh
will.
my
No, like regardless, it
god.
sucks. Yeah, like regardless, it's
Damn.
like, yeah, Shogun has ways to do it differently modernly.
Hmm.
But at the time they're like, well, we want it to be authentic. Who's willing to get bled?
Damn. I mean, I that could be a stunt I'd be down for, I'm not
Yeah, you'd get
I'm
bled.
I'm not like in a crazy crash or at risk of death or that's just something that like it'll suck for the time, but like I've got enough IVs in my life where that probably would that be I mean, I wouldn't say it'd be nothing. I would feel that would hurt definitely. That's not a
Mm.
little needle, but yeah, that'd be a stunt I could get behind. Um,
Like,
but
yeah, go ahead, bleed me.
fuck it. I mean, what
I'm
a
I'm the blood bag. You're.
wow. That's crazy. I mean, I've never even thought of that as a thing before.
Yeah, no, that's something they apparently did back like Yeah, no. And like what's fucked up is that we're getting so stupid as a society again for some reason. I saw this like the other day that there's some sort of new medical trend that about like relieving head pain by pricking a hole in your forehead and just like bleeding. Um and like the community note on it was like, yeah, this isn't proven yet. Like
Don't do
don't
don't
do
do
this.
that.
Well, and
Yeah.
it was like in it was obviously not a doctor's office, but somebody who's like
Hmm.
practicing medicine, man,
Uh.
like that
Hmm.
sort of thing. So it's I like so we're devolving like overwhelmingly so. But
Wow. Hey, you never know. Maybe in
hey,
500 years we're all
Tylenol's fucking fine, guys.
yeah. I don't
Um
know. Maybe in 500 years we're all bleeding from the forehead every morning.
yeah. Got to
Maybe.
get some acetaminophen. I don't know.
No. Just how do you even start that process? How do you
I
what do you
watched it. It was ugly. I don't even really want to
what
describe it.
oh my God. Is it not just like a little diabetes finger poker thing or like
It is mostly like
just
that. I mean, like it's not a big hole, but it just
but
sprays
then
out of there.
do you walk around all day with just like a
No, you take your time. You sit over a bowl, and you let it all pour out,
no,
and
yeah, but
then
I mean like isn't there a noticeable mark that will be left all day? Like a
mm,
scab
mm-hmm.
just on your forehead
Oh,
all
I
the
think you got to get it bandaged. Like you'll have a bandage on your forehead for most of the day. You know,
why the forehead? I mean, wow, I guess to
I mean it's
headaches
head
or
pain. Yeah, it's
wow.
not like they're not doing it for other shit. It's for
Wow,
headaches.
that's
Um,
incredible. That's incredible. I mean, I don't even believe in it in the first place, but I'd be like, can we just do like the back of my head? Can we like where like, not my forehead? I don't know, just or
They're like, no, your brain stem's back there, and this isn't proven by science yet. So,
wow. But no, they really did that here. Yeah, I guess they
yeah,
they
they really
had to
carved
here.
into somebody's arm and let him bleed.
Just
And it's and like knowing that it's a little graphic. It's a little graphic.
yeah, stick a bowl there. I mean, they didn't even have the bowl ready. I mean, they let them. It was
No,
just
they were like, oh shit, yeah,
yeah. I was
like
like, at first, I'm like, are they just gonna like what? I'm like, hold
let her
on,
bleed, let her
like,
bleed, I
yeah. I
guess.
was like,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
but
crazy
it
sequence there.
made for a
Um,
really good shot. The darkness and richness of the blood and dripping onto the
it
floor and stuff was very, very
it
good.
did look
It looked
cool.
good. It looked
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
As an outtake, incredible
That's yeah. Who
outtake,
knows what the first one looked good?
man.
How good the first one looked?
I feel like I'm gonna keep coming back to that. Just
Well, and
being
there's
like,
also the idea that like maybe this wasn't a part of the original cut of the movie, but they had this as an like it was something that was rejected, and they were like, fuck it. I'd be kind of pissed if I was the person who got bled and then it got cut from the movie. You know what I'm saying? Um,
yeah, maybe that's true. That maybe that person was originally pissed and they were the one who destroyed the film. They were like, "Damn,
yeah, there
I
you go.
bled for this movie and it's not even going to be in there. Fuck it. Fuck this movie. I'm destroying it." Boom. Now they're in there. They got their 15 seconds of fame. Their arm and their blood.
Yeah.
I mean, that is
Your
kind of
blood's
gnarly.
permanently on film. And that's what's interesting too, is I say permanently, but this film was lost for a long time. The film was considered lost for many years, but in 1978, an almost complete print was found in the estate of an Italian priest who had organized screenings in mental hospitals. Um,
What? So even the scraps, even the leftover film that we got has
was
been
considered lost at one point. Yeah.
oh my God. What is it? Is this movie too dangerous? Is this like, they don't
Well,
want
that's the thing is that's not uncommon for silent film. There's a ton of lost media. Like
Hmm.
Like silent film, it, a lot of stuff got like destroyed by studios. Like
Dang. I guess that's why like the Criterion collection even
that's
like
why stuff like that's
exists. It's
important.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, they wow. Yeah, and I mean it was really cool to see it open up with that and be like, "Damn, it's that
Mm.
old." Like it is they've been doing it for that long. That's really I don't know. I for some reason I thought it was just like, well, a company that started in like the 80s or 90s or something, but
It
then the
is. That's
backlog.
a they refurbished it. They restored it. It was like I mean like it's old film. They had to digitize it and all that. So like it is a relatively modern company.
Hmm. But then I mean, didn't it? Oh. Oh, so that was just a Max thing. That wasn't this movie. Like this movie wasn't actually
No.
like made or produced
No,
by
no,
the
no, no, no,
Criterion.
no, no,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
It was founded in the 80s. That was a good read by you. But
Wow.
yeah, no, it's
Hmm.
it was like it was refurbished and restored by Criterion and Janus Films
I see.
and
Okay.
redistributed via them. Um
I
it was
wonder.
actually an it's an early edition in the Criterion collection. They're like well into the thousands now, and this was like number 62 or something like that.
Hmm. Oh, wow.
Pretty
Oh,
early.
dang. That's probably high praise to be like one of the first,
One of the
like
first,
to
yeah.
be in the first movies. That's pretty cool. But I wondered. I did see kind of some like facial glitches almost. Like I'm like I know there's not VFX here, but like they're kind of like a warp or kind of like
There's a decent chance that there is. Like
yeah, there
it did
was.
have to be digitized, you know. You were watching it on a TV. It's not like
Oh, I guess
you got
true.
an original print that was projected
Mm.
onto something for you, you know.
Okay,
So
so
like
there might have been some little digital doohickey going on.
yeah, and
Um,
like they do their best to, you know, maintain it as best as they can, but if stuff is, you know,
because I thought
beyond
if
repair, they
maybe
might.
maybe on the film and they're when they're splicing it together, if like two shots just didn't really line up fully because it was an
It's also
outtake, and then
possible.
maybe
Yeah.
maybe it's just maybe that was it because I didn't know that this was an outtake to begin with. I just
Hmm.
I kind of saw those things and I'm like, huh, I wonder if that's my TV. I wonder if that's a HBO
No, it was this
thing.
movie. It was the
Um,
movie.
hmm.
Yeah, no, and yeah, no, it's pretty
Oh,
universally
yeah, it
well
barely
liked.
barely happened though. The things. I think like maybe twice or like maybe three times throughout the whole movie did I notice like a little thing. But man, I would have never guessed that this was a like the outtakes, that this was the like leftovers of the final film. That's crazy. Like cuz it does look so good. Like in man, I don't know how many times Joan was just crying, you know, and how I it never got old. It never got old just to see a tear fall down her face.
Mm.
And man, it made um like I would tear up with her commonly, but then man, like once it got to the end and like I don't know, I was like I was crying pretty good
Yeah, no.
at
Well,
the end
because
that
there's
kind of.
also a revolutionary spirit to it, you know? Like you do have the people rising up in the streets and but it's also not going well, you know? Like it is like her
Mhm.
martyrdom did succeed, but it leads to catastrophe
Oh,
in the streets. It gets bad,
man.
you know?
Yeah. I mean, whenever like I was already going. Like my shot is whenever they give her communion for the last time. She eats um the communion bread and then she opens her eyes and just like smiles at the sky. Like she just
Mm,
her eyes are on nothing but like the sky and she's
but
just like
God.
and
Yeah.
she is smiling. And I'm like, "Oh my God, that was just it was just a beautiful
And mine
beautiful
came
shot."
from that
Um
scene too. Right after they give her the bread. There's a cross in the background and
mm,
she's like in the bottom corner of the screen and she's you know she's praying and it's just a
mm.
really good
Oh.
satisfying shot. There's a lot of beautiful visuals in this movie though. One of my favorites also was the skull that she sees that has
Ah.
maggots crawling through it when they're digging
Mhm.
up the pit.
Yeah.
And it flies out and lands and then you see the
Yeah.
maggots crawling in its eye and stuff like that was really good looking.
Kind
I
of
mean,
a weird, not at all connected. I don't know, like a La Camera. I don't know. We're just fresh off that, its
mm,
last movie, but kind of like she had this kind of vision or kind of she went kind of somewhere else sometimes. It kind of
mm.
felt like and she was seeing things and it would cut to
Well,
the
and we did,
birds flying in the sky
yeah,
like La
yeah.
Camera. I
No,
feel like literally
I had the same thought. Yeah, no,
actually.
and we
Hmm.
discussed it during La Camera that, you know, what he might be experiencing is a connection to the underworld, a connection to the beyond. But I even said specifically that some people call that feeling God, you know,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
there's a distinct possibility that that's what Joan is experiencing in those moments, that she is feeling God, that she is experiencing her faith on the
Hmm.
to the full tilt, you know. And yeah, it's a beautiful movie, man. Absolutely gorgeous. And it is really simple. I love that it's, they open the movie telling you that it's based off the minutes
Hmm.
of the trial itself,
Yeah.
very intricately taken. Um, got to imagine that a lot of the screenplay is pretty faithfully one to one. Um,
Damn, if these were the actual words spoken, it like at least in court, probably. Like I mean, it makes sense, and if such a legendary character, or not a character, person, this is a real person. That's crazy. I don't know. It is legendary. I mean, she's a saint now. That is, and it makes perfect sense. I mean, yeah, it's um, man. I mean, her execution. I hate picking like the end of a movie as my favorite scene, but oh man, I don't know. It was just
the end was just so good.
so well done. I'm already like kind of a mess whenever she's like accepting her fate and everything. But then when it shows the crowd and the other people starting to cry, I was like, "Oh my
Mhm.
god." I'm like, "Fuck." Before it got bad and then they just all started dying. Like it was
Vive
just
la France! Yeah, no, that shit was
man, like yeah,
beautiful,
like
beautiful, and
uh
devastating. No, it's a brilliant movie, man. And I found myself extremely, extremely moved in both viewings I've had of it now. And yeah, no, just a fantastic fucking movie with so much that is so thoroughly well done.
mm,
And the fact that it is kind of a miracle that we even have it, A, in the first place, as the master print was destroyed, and this is all outtakes, and then B, it being considered lost media for a super long time and getting found in the 70s. Um, and then not only that, but then eventually being restored and digitized for us to be able to watch it modernly. It is kind of a miracle to think about how movies last like that, you know? And it's a damn shame that stuff gets lost, that there were reels and reels and reels of film that studios burnt essentially,
man,
just
that's
burnt to the
nuts.
ground.
Yeah, I'm just born with the internet and everything like that, so it's so easy to like keep a thing, even if there's one copy of it. I don't know. Once it's on the internet, it is there kind of forever. And so, but to think of a time where one film reel, like if just dropped, I don't know, if while it's being transported somewhere, if it's just dropped and I don't know in what situation it takes to destroy a film reel, but like in a puddle outside with like some water, just destroy a film reel. I don't know. It feels like it could ruin parts of it, and that's just crazy that like part of a movie could be lost forever off by just some little accident. But
Yep.
and we got that movie, and it's still 60 what on the criterion like list. That's yeah, they're
62.
like, we
Yeah.
need this one preserved. I mean, man, maybe they did it because of the shaky past of it. They're like,
No, yeah, and that's what's devastating is Martin Scorsese's Film Foundation estimates 90% of movies made before 1929 are lost.
90%.
90%. Um 1894 to 1930. And the Library of Congress estimates that 75% are lost forever.
Oh my
Um
god.
Yeah,
Wow.
so yeah, the largest cause of silent film loss was intentional destruction. Before the eras of home cinema and television and
Wow,
home video,
intentional.
films were considered to have little future value after their theatrical run because nobody could watch them at home.
Oh, so it
Um,
wasn't even like politically because they wanted to destroy 'em. It was
no,
just, well, get rid of the film. Like it's
yeah,
just taking up room. Like,
yep.
wow.
Silent films were perceived as worthless after the end of the silent era. Um, Most of the early films did not survive because of wholesale junking by the studios. There was no thought of ever saving these films. They simply needed vault space, and the materials were expensive to house.
I guess it's
So
like
studios,
VHS tapes, whenever they became kind of obsolete, everyone's like, all right, well, just throw them away, or just
now
whatever.
they're all fucking
Wow.
collector's items.
Wow.
If you have good VHS tapes of certain things, they're like so expensive. Um,
Really?
yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Like if you have original copies of like the original trilogy of Star Wars, those are like
Oh.
those are good.
Oh, I think I might have them in my like in my playroom closet right
Like
now. I
original,
think
like original VHS tapes.
maybe. Oh, 76. You mean oh,
Yeah, I'm talking like
I don't know about
the
that. Yeah,
OG.
I don't know about that. Maybe it was probably a
But yeah,
box
like
set
even
bought later
beyond
on,
that, like
but
90 80s uh Disney animated films and stuff, if those still exist and are in good condition, they get really expensive, like it's like all these sorts of like just the evolution of
mm,
technology and the way things go. So like it's just so devastating to think about the amount of movies that did exist and will never see the light of day because they were legitimately burnt.
dang,
Um,
that's nuts. And
mhm.
this one, it's not, I guess, like that. But it was almost
Then the
not made. It
10%. Yeah.
almost, yeah, almost we didn't get it, and luckily we did. Like it's crazy to think that a movie like this is not every movie's probably as good as this one, but like there's
No,
these in
right.
there.
There are, and they are gone forever. Like that's
Oh man, I mean,
and
I
we're
had no idea.
re-entering again to go back to devolving. Um, can you watch Willow anywhere right now? You
Damn.
know?
Yeah, thank
We
God for
obviously have the internet,
torrenting.
so you can torrenting and pirate
You
shit,
know, it's
but like,
sad. It's a sad thankful. I'm sadly
yeah,
thankful
but
for
like
it, but
that's real shit though, like, and it's a severely severe problem with streaming is that they don't make physical copies, and instead of it taking up literal physical space, it's taking up, budget cuts. They need to pay royalties to the actors, and
mm,
it can be a tax cut if they get rid of it, and it's bullshit. The Batgirl film from Warner Brothers got completely
damn.
made,
True.
never released anywhere. Like that's not even one you can torrent. That's
That's
just
nuts.
lost media. The
That's
Looney
nuts.
Tunes, the most recent Looney Tunes movie, Coyote versus Acme or whatever, um, lost media. You are never going to be able to watch it, and it's finished. And like that, we're back. Like we're back here. It's been 100 years, um, and I'm sure this has been a problem previously, but like in between those times, but like
Mm,
god damn, is that disappointing. um that's
yeah.
why companies like Janus Films and the Criterion Collection and all that stuff are so important, is the film
Mm-hmm.
preservationist. That's why physical media is important, preserving film at all costs. um
Damn. Yeah, that's I don't know. I had no idea that there was even that behind this movie. But it makes me love it even more.
mm,
Um, and I mean, it was I already liked. I mean, we're going through quite the stretch of good movies.
yeah, we're on a run.
Yeah. So
The run we're on is strong.
I've been very happy, very very pleased with movies, and I don't know. I feel like I want some worse movies so that I'm not only logging fives on Letterboxd every single time, but
Right,
it's not a
right.
bad problem to have. That's
No, it's not. It's
I'm
not. But you need to know how good these movies are. You need to remind yourself how good these movies are by sliding a shitter in there every once in a while, like
hmm yeah,
it,
like
it's
I
important.
guess I guess I'm probably gonna watch Blue Angels here soon, and it's probably not gonna be like shit, but it'll be a
No,
nice
but
palate cleanser.
it's a
It'll be
documentary,
yeah,
like it's a
that'll
little different.
that'll be nice. But I need to find something that is just shit. Yeah, I don't know.
Mm,
I
mm.
don't know
Yeah,
why,
that's the thing, is that
but
we are watching, like most of the movies you're watching right now are stuff we're gonna cover, and I'm not gonna willingly be like, hey, we're gonna cover shit.
well, who
Um,
knows? Maybe you make a last minute switch and you change your
mm,
movie to just
mm.
an Morbius. Fuck it.
Might I
We've never
recommend,
seen
if
it.
you want a shit palate cleanser that is still super fun and
Hmm.
I think an enjoyable movie, but don't get me wrong, is really fucking bad, is Barb Wire, starring Pamela Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible fucking film.
Okay.
Terrible fucking film. Hypersexualized to no end, but super enjoyable. So fucking
Tamara
bad.
Morrison. Okay.
Tamara Morrison is in it.
Um,
Yes, and he's actually quite good in it.
what was
Um,
the Eggman? The weird. What was that? What am I not supposed? Or I'm not even supposed to Google it. I'm just supposed to
oh,
watch.
Dirt Man.
Dirt Man. Was that it? Was that Dirt?
Yeah,
Or
that's a song. It's a song.
no. It was in your I think it was in your top 10 action movies maybe, and it was
Oh, that's so funny that I said Dirt Man. Old Boy.
Old Boy. Old Boy.
Old Boy is actually really fucking good though. So like
So it's not a
that's
shitter.
it
Okay.
no, it's fucked up
Mm-hmm.
and you might need the palate cleanser after Old Boy, in fact.
Okay.
Old Boy
Um,
is like really, really good. It's just super fucked up.
wow.
Like it's
I had the thought of using my last movie to choose Morbius, and that is it is technically a movie that you have never seen, but I don't even want to do that to myself. Is the
right,
thing,
right.
like
Well, and now that we scrapped the comic book movie project, I'm never gonna watch that fucking movie.
no,
That was the
no,
only reason I was ever gonna watch it.
no. I need to have it shared with
Hey,
someone.
infinite,
I
infinite seasons, 80 seasons of cinema surprise, Morty.
I'll
Maybe at
choose it
one
one of
point,
these goddamn days,
one
but
of
it won't
these
be soon.
days.
It won't be soon. No way.
No,
It's for the
no.
last one of no way.
Season one.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, probably not.
it's got
But
to be a while. But
maybe eventually in the Sentimentalists we cover like the Sony Spider-Verse
yeah,
movies, or something like that.
Sony
Um,
shitters.
yeah, the Sony shitter series. That'd be fun.
Craven,
That's
is that
actually kind
out?
of a nope,
Um,
that's the end of this year. It actually
okay.
got pushed back because Sony's completely fucking delusional
Sony
and for
shitters
some
could
reason
be
thinks that people will repeatedly come back for it during the holidays. Um,
Craven.
legit statement from Sony. Yes, they're fucking delusional. But that's why studios are the fucking worst.
Hmm.
They don't get it at all. Um, but yeah,
Wow,
Passion of Joan of Arc. I feel like we've kind of done it the justice we're gonna
that's
give it.
right.
Um, and if you're ready, I can do the plugs and then I can announce next week's cinema surprise and we can do an album of the week. Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm. I'm ready. I
All
am
right.
ready.
All right. So stick around through the plugs. Like I said, I'm going to announce my penultimate cinema surprise, my fifth. It'll be our 10th episode in the series so far, and we'll only have two left for season one. And we have more surprises to come. Another season gonna come out eventually, and we have more to announce. So, but that won't be at the end of this episode. All that will be at the end of this episode is my cinema surprise for next week. And then we're also gonna do an album of the week. So with that, if you would, head to patreon.com/pennybloom pod, where you'll find over 50 hours of exclusive content, all sorts of book reviews, comic book reviews, movie reviews, and early access content. You can also get access to the Penny Bloom Dispatch. That is a more timely segment-based show that we're having a lot of fun doing. It's every Monday on Patreon, and you can get that for free on Patreon. All the other stuff will be $1.50 a month, but you can get the Penny Bloom Dispatch, just extra free content from the Penny Bloom umbrella. If you are listening on the Penny Bloom podcast, you can listen on Cinema Surprise. That's the point. Surprise, motherfucker. That's what we're having fun with. Um, So yeah, you can do all that. Head to Twitter, follow at Penny Bloom Pod, follow on Instagram and TikTok at Penny Bloom Podcast. You can watch on YouTube. We're still under the Penny Bloom Podcast YouTube as of yet. Um, and if that ever changes, we shall see. Um, but the way to know if it ever changes is by following on Twitter at Penny Bloom Pod. That is the safest place to get any updates, any news. That is the place I'm on. That is the place you should be. Um, Leave a 5-star rate and review wherever you might be listening, especially if you're listening on Cinema Surprise. Those reviews help immensely. That's what makes the show grow. If you look up podcasts, the ones that pop up first are the ones with the most reviews. That is how
Mm.
the search engine works. So we need reviews, and that helps a growing podcast immensely. Um, so yeah, with that, let's go ahead and rate this movie. How
Mm-hmm.
about it? On a scale of 1 to 10, how much are you enjoying The Passion of Joan of
Hmm.
Arc?
In say it was a 5 on Letterboxd. But I don't know if I'm quite at a 10 here. I don't. I feel it is a whole different ballgame with a silent movie. I don't know. It
Hmm,
was my first one, so like I do have that. I don't know. I had that going for it. So I'm trying to like remove all of these first biases and things.
I get that.
Um.
If it helps you at all, for me, this is not a 10.
Okay.
I
In.
do have a silent film that is, for me. So that's one of those things that's like, in terms of enjoyment, I think
Mm-hmm.
that, and that's the critical side we can talk about a different day. The other one's a comedy. I'm thinking of Modern Times, directed by Charlie Chaplin, starring Charlie Chaplin. That's a really, really good movie. I strongly recommend it. But
Okay.
um, this movie on first watch was moving. The second viewing was very moving. Um, and while it does get me to well, it doesn't get me to cry. Um, I'm astounded by the craft of it, but I feel like there is a deeper resonance to be had in this movie if you are religious.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that could really, really help.
Yeah.
And I'm not a particularly religious person. So like that is one of those things where I do think there is a movie in here for someone who is deeply religious that could be moved to a different level and could find this to be one of their favorite. And this is one of my favorites of all time. It's in that,
Mm.
you know, that range, that 300 range. I don't know where in that range, but it's in the 300 there. Um, so like, yeah, I would still go north of nine. I would still go 9.25, 9.5. Um,
Yeah, I mean, on my list, I put it above. It's at 7, out of 9 currently right now, and that feels
hmm.
really low. But man, I don't know. I've
We've
really,
covered some good fucking
yeah,
movies.
and
Like
it's right below Babylon. Babylon, and I do have Casablanca at 5, which is kind of crazy, but it's definitely below those. But I do have it above Book of Eli for sure. But the
mhm,
only one that gave me pause was Love Lies Bleeding.
right.
I was kind of going back and forth on which one I do put above. And man, I don't know. I'm actually kind of leaning towards putting Love Lies Bleeding above. Um, but I don't know. My gut put it right below Babylon.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I think it would be at 7 for me as well. So north of for me, north of Book of Eli and Tron Legacy.
yeah.
But
Oh, and yeah,
um
that is Tron should not be at 3. But it is. I mean,
no,
like
like it's your list. It's your favorites.
yeah,
It's
putting
not
it
like that's
above La Camira and Casablanca. Like I understand. I know that
I
is
get
crazy.
it. Yeah, no, I
Um,
get what you're saying.
yeah.
But yeah, I would have it at 7 out of 9 as well. A little bit of a different ranking for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But
So, I think it's definitely in the if it's an 8, it's an 8.75 or like an eight
right.
five. But like I
I'm
feel
cool with a
like a
9 if you're
9
cool with a
flat.
9.
I feel like that did feel kind of nice.
Okay. Yeah,
Just
I'm
a
cool with
9
that.
flat. Okay. That's nice. Nice whenever we can agree. I guess here we do
Hmm.
have it kind of built into if we have different ones, we can average them out, but
Yeah,
that's
we've kind of
nice.
strayed away from that a
Um,
little bit. We've
mm,
gone back to being like, yeah, we agree on this, right? Okay,
yeah.
cool.
And maybe it's just
I think
easier
we're
for the good ones. Just the ones
yeah,
that are
the good
just
ones,
good
yeah,
and
yeah,
and
just
really good,
that's
but
a good fucking
uh
movie, you know?
so critically, um again, you have more silent movie in this era. I mean,
I
this is my
mean,
oldest one. I have
it
nothing.
doesn't take knowing what silent films are to know this is a good fucking movie.
Okay, it felt
Um,
good. It felt really
Actually,
good.
this was also my first silent film.
Oh, okay.
It
Um,
was at one point my first silent film. I did end up
ah,
watching a couple others after, but um,
mm-hmm.
when I did initially watch it, it was my first, if I recall correctly. I'll have to look a little, but I'm pretty sure. If not the second, like it's one or two, because I've only watched like four, maybe
Yeah.
five. So like it's not like I've watched a lot. I can count them in my head. Um, so like no, it's a damn good movie. By all accounts. It's I would not hesitate to call it narratively tighter, more consistently well performed, and better looking than a lot of movies we've covered so far. Like I wouldn't
Mm,
hesitate to throw it at maybe nines across the board. Um,
that kind of does feel nice. Let's see. Have we given anyone a 9 flat critically? Not quite. We
given
haven't.
eight seven
We have
fives, I feel
Babylon an
like.
8.5, Cure 9.5, 8.75 Arrival 9.5, Last for La Camera. I think that slots in pretty nicely. At a 9. Um, No math needed there. I mean
No,
that
that's a
would just
9.
be
That's a 90%.
which would just put it right below Arrival. So not quite Arrival, which me I think I'm there. I mean I have Arrival.
I am as well. I
Arrival's
enjoy
at the
like
tippy top of my
the
list
enjoyment I got out of
here.
Arrival is a different breed compared to
Mm-hmm.
this movie. This movie is again, I'm awed by the possibility of it. Just like
This
there's a
is
special
real,
feel. Yeah, there's
actually.
a
That's
special
like
feeling of watching a movie that existed 95 fucking years ago. You know, like
yeah.
it's not
And it's
it's
dramatized obviously to some points,
Mhm.
but like the events the fact that it's based on true events at all is crazy.
Mhm.
Like, and that's
Yeah.
I love a dramatized history movie. Like I
Oh,
don't
I
know.
do
I'm
too. I do
it's a movie
too.
I didn't know I needed or know that I loved, but it is it's I'm liking it more and more. Just
Oh, I
history in general
love
as well.
history
So
movies,
yeah,
dude.
this is I don't know, very happy with my pick. I've never seen it. Well, I guess technically watched like the first 10 minutes of it on vacation. But I'm glad that I committed to the full watch.
I am too. I'm too.
Yeah, glad that I was able to
90%.
talk about it too and not just
Yeah.
watch
Yeah.
it. So yeah, I like a
Passion
lot.
of Joan
So
of Arc. That was a fun inclusion on this journey, on this list of surprises, and I'm so very excited for next week's surprise. So
mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's right. I picked a decade, didn't I? I don't know. Is
you
did it
did.
did it
You
switch
went.
or
No, it didn't. I had a gut feeling. In fact, I was on a movie on Letterboxd when I text you. Pick between. I gave Joseph a list. I told him the 30s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, or aughts. So he had
hmm
6 decades to choose from, and I was like, just pick one. You were like, do you want me to just like right now pick one? And I was like, one or two. Like, just limit my options. I've got like 20 movies I'm thinking about right now. If you pick a decade or two, it helps me like crazy. So you picked the 50s and the 80s, and it just so happened that on Letterboxd I had a movie from the 50s open. It's where my
hmm
gut took me actually a few weeks back when I was crafting my long-term list. I was like, I think I want this one eventually. I came back to it. I'm confident in it. Um, it will be another Babylon movie. You get to check another off the list for you.
no way.
And
Thank
in a
you.
similar vein, um, we're going with the transition from silent to the talkie era. So get your umbrellas and your tap shoes. We are singing
Let's
in the
go. Oh,
rain
I typed it
next
before
week.
you even said it.
Uh,
I've never even seen it, but I've oh man, yes. I'm very excited. It is
Singing
on
in
the
the
list when I was
rain.
going through. I think maybe we watched a Singing in the Rain in school. I don't This one doesn't feel right. I don't know. I feel like it was newer. I feel like it was not this one. So this one,
Be
I'm
kind
very
of ludicrous to show you any other singing in the rain in school. I also don't know why we would have watched it in school.
yeah. What class was this? Why? I mean, it feels like an English class. And choir. Maybe this was middle school choir movie day.
Mm,
Actually, music
that's possible. That's
that
possible.
maybe it was that. But this one it doesn't feel like it was this old. It felt like it was like a newer version. I don't know. I feel like there's
There's
probably
probably a
multiple
stage. There's probably a stage production or
movies
something that
of
was filmed or
yeah.
something. There's documentaries about it and stuff. But anywho, I'm
Hmm.
excited because I've watched it. I love it. I'm excited to officially show it to you
Oh
if you don't
man.
strictly recall it. I adore Gene Kelly. Debbie Reynolds
Oh.
is the mother of Hollywood royalty and Carrie Fisher. So very
Oh.
excited to cover
Okay.
cover a movie with Debbie Reynolds in it.
Yeah.
And like I said, Gene Kelly is I love him.
I'm
So
ready. I'm looking at the
yep.
visuals. No way. This was the movie we watched. There's
Okay. Yeah. It's a
absolutely no way.
gorgeous
This
fucking
looks
movie. Like it is
yeah.
it is a
Um
gorgeous,
I feel like
gorgeous film.
wasn't this what he like started to really cry on?
Yes, it's
Like
it's the movie he's
this is like
watching
yeah.
whenever he starts to cry in
Oh,
Babylon.
okay. That's
Um,
even better. Let's go. Okay, yeah. I
yeah.
love this little checklist. Thank you
hmm
for letting me
No
check one
problem.
off
That
another one.
wasn't my main
But
motivation, but it was like, oh, that's cool. You
that's a
get to
nice
cross one
yeah,
out as
nice
well.
little cherry on top.
I
Uh,
wanted to get a musical in. I wanted to spread some love to a different decade that we hadn't covered. That was kind of, it was like, what era am I picking a musical from is kind of where my head was at. And the 50s, that's ideal. If you're gonna go
Hmm.
musicals, the 40s and 50s, they've got them. They've got them in abundance. So
Mm.
I'm ready to cover Singing in the Rain
Let's
next
go.
week.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
so
nice.
very excited. That'll be my penultimate episode of season one. But yeah, with that, let's do an album of the week.
Hmm.
Let's do an album of the week. What'd you have
Hmm.
for me this week?
Okay, so last week I was very older electronic type music. And I'm sticking with the electronic vein. I couldn't quite leave it. But I'm more modern now. And I went back to Dan's collection, my sister's roommate,
Mm.
and he had a favorite, a large, many albums from Flying Lotus, is
Oh
the group.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know. I wouldn't know I've never heard of them before. But it seemed like one of his favorites. Up on top as well. Like it set not just with the collection that I don't know these were apart. And so I started with their 2008 album Los Angeles. But I've listened to a lot more of them just on shuffle with that playlist. They come up a lot, and that's why I after this last electronic album, I'm like, oh, I wanna see some modern stuff. And Dan usually has some good taste. And yeah, I do like this is kind of in that perfect homework playlist for me. Like this will get me locked the fuck in if I need to do something and really lock in mentally for stuff. But it's kind of what I use electronic music for, or if I'm just doing
Mm.
chores, doing like laundry, folding laundry and stuff like that. This is yeah, it gets yeah. It's got that
Yeah.
little bit of
It's got a
cocaine
zest.
for lack of a better
Yeah.
word. It's got a little bit of coke in it. Electronic music is it feels like it. So got the energy there. I should have
Hmm.
just gone there, but
No, it's got cocaine in it.
yeah, it's got coke. It's got all the coke in there, but yeah.
All of it. All the
So
coke.
Los Angeles by Flying Lotus
Love that.
is where I'm going. So
Love that. I'm going even more modern and so modern that it was earlier this year.
okay.
2024 album. I'm going with Dark Times by Vince Staples. Vince Staples is one of the most underappreciated rappers alive. Uh, Super funny guy, but he obviously has an ability to get extremely heartfelt and extremely personal. Um, and I think he flies under the radar in the conversation of who are the best rappers working. Um,
Hmm,
he is, I'd put him next to J. Cole and kind of question which one is better, you know?
that's high
In fact,
praise.
yeah, I'm like, in fact, I don't even know if I question it that much.
Oh damn.
That's how good I think Vince Staples is. Um,
Okay, that's
just a
royalty.
talented pen, a talented rapper, talented artist, just a really damn, there's some good songs on there. He's from
Hmm.
Long Beach, so there's a song on this album where he really channels Snoop Dogg, who's also from Long Beach, and it's just like comparing it to like when Drake did the AI Snoop Dogg thing.
Eesh.
It's like it's
Mm-hmm.
like wow, look at what other people are actually capable of, who actually are talented, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Difference between inspiration and theft. Almost.
appropriation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
yeah. So okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
I mean,
and
that's you say he flies under the radar. It's sad to say. Yeah. I've never heard of him until now. Maybe I've heard some
oh
of his
yeah.
maybe
You've
I do.
certainly
Yeah.
heard Vince Staples
But I
songs.
don't know him by name, which is really sad.
Yeah, I actually
So
saw him live a couple of years 6 years ago, fuck 7 years ago. No,
oh,
6 years ago.
we don't have to think
Um
about it.
yeah, I'm like senior year of high school. I think it was yeah, it was second semester, so it was 2018. It was six
Hmm.
years ago. Um um he opened for Tyler the Creator off the
Hmm.
coattails of his album 740 Big Fish Theory. Um
Yeah.
Did you ever hear the song? Boy, yeah, right, yeah, right, yeah, right. Boy, yeah, right, yeah, right, yeah, right. Boy, yeah, right, yeah, right, yeah, right. Boy,
Hmm.
yeah. It's I mean it's called Yeah, it features Kendrick Lamar.
Ooh.
It's a really
Okay.
good one.
Huh.
That's Big Fish Theory though. That's a great album. 745, great song. But yeah, Dark Times, that's my album of the week. Brand new. Well, relatively brand new. Not,
Yeah. May
you know.
24th. That's
Yeah.
I mean
As of
It's pretty
recording, brand
mm,
new. That's why I'm like
still pretty fresh though.
pretty fresh. Few
Yeah.
months back.
Compared to The Passion of Joan of Arc,
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
dang new.
96
Um,
years separating them. That's not too shabby, but
yeah.
yeah. Then with that, we will conclude this episode of the Penny. No, of Cinema
Mm,
Surprise. Sorry,
hey,
guys.
habit.
Habits,
Um,
old habits die hard. Of Cinema Surprise presented by the Penny Bloom podcast. With that, I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, peace, love, and bloom. And how do you tell a good angel from a bad angel?